Yes, today is April 1st, and no, this video is not a joke. I realized a couple of days ago when I filmed the unboxing for these two that I spent 20 minutes on each of them individually and then almost 7 minutes in my conclusion. I mean, to be fair, 20 minutes per is not horrible, although I find it unusual that for all the lack of interest that I have in these two, I managed to spend 20 minutes on each of them, as opposed to, hey, here's a wraparound, here's a thing that it does, and then here's how it combines, and then here's what it sounds like in the versus changer. I spent 20 minutes on these things. Plus, who knows how long complaining about that. Which somebody said that's. Somebody posted a response. Let's see, the video was posted yesterday or day before yesterday? It's posted day before yesterday. Somebody said that this is intended to show that biker is doing a wheelie. Um, no, because if that's the case, you could just, hey, look at that, it's doing a wheelie. Woohoo! Also, the wheels would be at the back, and also, if that was the case, it would not be front heavy to the point where if you set it on the ground, it flattens out. So I seriously doubt that this is intended to be a wheelie. Nice try, whoever it was. I can't remember who your name is. I'll mention you over there. But, nice try, sincerely, but no, that's not a wheelie. Anyways, I'm still looking for an answer. I'm still waiting for an answer to that. But anyways, I spent 20 minutes on each of these individually, and then another 7 minutes on top of that with my conclusion, where I complained a bit more about this. The timing on that is not horrible, but I do need to trim it down somewhat, so I'm hoping that this next video, aside from the opening sequence that I'm doing right now, will be a little bit shorter. Who knows? With this in mind, I give you the Scissors and Blade Dial Fighter, which I already picked up almost 4 years ago around this time. This is the only accessory vehicle, whatever it is, that I picked up at the time. It was the only one, and I'm like, this is good. I'm good. I'll link the particular video in the description where I described it. But suffice it to say, I like the gimmick of it. I still like it to this day. I mean, ordinarily, like a stealth fighter with a drone sitting on the top, you would think that that would be, it'd be a pair of swords, or it'd be some sort of blade weapon. But who in their right mind would think of a stealth fighter, or the F-117 Nighthawk if you must, would be associated with a pair of scissors? I mean, that was just funny enough at the time. And of course, there's this huge blocky thing out the front. But considering it's being used as a, let's see, how does this turn? Considering this is being used as a shield for LupinKaiser Knight. By the way, LupinKaiser Knight. I can agree with that. I can live with that. And hey, guess what? It actually does make for a decent shield. So I can't really complain there. Really, the only complaint that I had about the Scissors and Blade Dial Fighter was, well, the blade part, because nice try. Honestly, if they tried to turn this into like the B2 Spirit, I think it might have worked a little better, just because the wingspan would have been wide enough to give the blade some actual length, as opposed to this kind of dagger with a PVC handle, which I've never liked, which thank God the PVC has not rotted or it's not torn or anything like that in the last 3.5 years. Thank God. But that being said, PVC handles into an ABS hand, usually not a good combination. No. But anyways, that's a sword. Just as stunted as Super Sentai Roleplay, except that now it's really stunted on a DX toy. See how small that is? And keep in mind, folks, that Joe King actually had a blade that was shorter than this, like 2 years earlier. So, yeah, this thing just, whatever. I mean, again, I don't hate it. It's just stunted, for lack of a better word. But what's also nice about it is that when you have this thing combined together, technically both of them are still dial fighters. Putting everything away here, which I should have done before I put them together. Now I have to do an awkward edit. See, this is what I get when I try to rush through things. I end up messing up. This is why I don't rush. This is why I take the time to talk and talk and talk while I'm doing combinations and such. What was interesting for me about the Scissors and Blade Dial Fighters is that regardless of whether you had the Blade Dial Fighter attached, you always had access to this feature because you had the dial right there. Alternatively, the Blade Dial Fighter, which technically, yes, is a dial fighter all unto itself, had a dial on the top which could still trigger the thing. So that to me is like, it looks awkward, and when it's by itself, it's really, really awkward just because the dial dominates the design, as opposed to here where it's like, yeah, okay, that's fine, whatever. But yeah, there's a big difference. But anyways, I respect that they put two vehicles in 20, even though the Nighthawk itself never had any drones attached to it, at least not that we're aware of. Yeah, it never had any drones attached to it, and this is just totally made up, and whatever, that's fine. But I really, really respect Bandai and Plex because it could have been just the shield and that was it, but like, and then they could have made a completely separate dial fighter that was sold separately, or there was like two dial fighters for the like twice the price or something like that. Like, imagine for a moment that this is what the blade and scissors dial fighters turned out to be. You had the scissors dial fighter, even though it's a shield. Huh? How's that? How's it go from scissors into shield? By the way, don't care. And then you'd have the blade dial fighter that was the same size. It's like a huge thing. They could have done that, but they didn't. They're like, you know what? Let's just keep things simple and tie the two together just like that. And I really, really respect that. So yeah, that's why I got this thing. It's like, it's neat. The gimmick is not terrible, and you're technically getting two for the price of one. So, like, yeah, I really can't disagree with the scissors and blade dial fighters. This is good enough for me. And at the time, in late is either late 2000, it was late 2018 when I got this. It's like, yeah, that's enough for me. I'm satisfied. I'm good. So one of the reasons why I'm bringing up the scissors and blade dial fighter is because now I have a versus changer to plug it into, which means there's a host of sound effects that I have to deal with now. All right.
9, 6, 3, masquerade! Kaito boost!
And of course, holding down the trigger does absolutely nothing. So yeah. Wait, a trigger and a dial fighter? How dare you? And that's it. Now the Kaito boost that's involved in this one, like when you're dealing with the, I almost said scissors, which is wrong, the Cyclone dial fighter, this is more often than not used for finishing attacks, or a specialty blaster of some kind. That's what this is used for. But the scissors and blade dial fighter instead gives the Lupinranger a pair of new weapons to work with. So as opposed to the thing being constantly attached, the two dial fighters here transform into a massive shield and and then a boomerang. Really, a boomerang for a weapon? Like, okay, where's the roleplay toy for those, where my right hand completely disappears inside of the shield, and then and then my right hand has this giant boomerang attached to me? I want that thing as a roleplay toy. That'd be great. Like, imagine for a moment if there had been an actual roleplay toy of like the V2 Spirit, like I was talking about, or B2. I'm sorry, B2 Spirit. If it had been something like that, or maybe the F-22, or God forbid the F-35. If it had been like one of those, and then but as a role play toy, like actually like this big or something along those lines, you could actually hang on to it. It could be used as a boomerang, or it could be used as a shield, and then nested on the top, just like the blade dial fighter here is, you could have had both the scissors and the blade dial fighter on top of that role play weapon. Now that's not what happened, but I think that would have been kind of interesting, and that would have tied it a little closer to the role play, because like role play kind of gets a bad rep when it comes to Super Sentai. So why is my cord tied up? Whatever. But yeah, that's kind of the best that we're getting out of it. So, whatever. And now for the summoning. That's interesting. There's this there's this belief within the Super Sentai community, and I think at this point it's officially kind of quelled and calmed down at this point. But there's this thing about whenever you put a dial fighter into the versus changer, a dial fighter specifically into a versus changer, when the techno voice or technology voice says the first syllable or the first letter of the name of that dial fighter, in this case it goes scissors, or it'll go Cyclone, or it'll repeat it numerous times. Well, unless I miss my guess, just now it did not do the repeating syllable. Yeah, he doesn't say it. He only says it. He only says scissors the one time. Huh? Because the three primary dial fighters, red, blue, and yellow, they don't have that first syllable repeated. The Cyclone does, but then the very next accessory, which would be the scissors and blade, does not have it repeat. Or at least for the launching sequence. Huh. That's strange. I wonder why. I wonder what the distinction is then. Maybe because it's role play. Like like the Cyclone doesn't have uh, a a role play weapon or something associated with it, but it has the repeating whatchamacallit. And then you have a good striker. He does have the repeating. It goes good striker or whatever it is, and but that's also a role play that serves as as the finishing cannon, the big bazooka thing or whatever. It's a specialty cannon, whatever they're called, the big buster, I guess. So I'm wondering why it is thus far in the line. Like if you follow the releases in chronological order, and Scissors and Blade is technically part of second wave, not first wave. It's part of second wave. So far, the only one that doesn't have, or that I'm sorry, that does have that first syllable repeated is the Cyclone. That's strange. I wonder why they made that choice. I don't get it. Okay, so anyways, this is launched, and so this is now out of here. But we still have another dial fighter to deal with. Specifically, the Blade dial fighter just by itself. I'm turning it, but it's not making any noise because you'll notice, and I think I pointed this out in the previous edit, or when I was first going over the versus changer, I pointed out that dial fighters are uniquely identified because if you look down here, you'll see this little tab will stick out. Oh, mine got stuck. Okay, I don't know why, but it did. Okay. Let's try that again. Why is it getting stuck? It wasn't getting stuck before. Okay, anyways, you saw it open up. But anyways, that's how the versus changer knows when you're turning the dial specifically. But if you look at the bottom of the Blade dial fighter specifically, you'll notice because there's nowhere near enough room for a mechanism for the gearing and for a little tab to stick down. There isn't anything like that because the dial for the Blade sits on top of the dial for the Scissors. I want to call this Shield so badly, but it's actually Scissors dial fighter. So if you look in here, oh yeah, terrible lighting. I'm sorry. If you look in here, you'll see that as I'm turning. I don't know, can you? Yeah, I can kind of see it turning. You'll see, there we go, kind of. See that hexagon in there? That hexagon lines up with that hexagon right there. Okay, so that's how the two interact with each other. But here's the interesting thing. There's not enough room for a mechanism for a little tab to appear on the bottom here. So that is why the versus changer recognizes that the Blade dial fighter has been inserted But no matter how many times you turn this, it won't work. So you just have to, I mean, it'll just sit like this until the power's down, or you flip it around.
Kaito boost.
Notice also that the Blade Dell Fighter now has its own unique sound effect. Previously, with the scissors, it was kind of a and an explosion. But this one, it's more of a clanging sound, sword clashing, clanging sound, and then an explosion. So there you go. You don't need to turn the dial in order for the Versus Changer to recognize it. And really, I mean, small secret here, you don't have to do the dial turning thing with any of the dial fighters, because once the Versus Changer recognizes it, you can just flip it over right away and it'll just play anyways. The turning dial thing is just an extra bit they added in, so... Anyways, let's get this thing launched. That's so funny. Blade! That voice actor is having fun with that. He's just, Blade! That's fantastic. I love that. And notice also, he doesn't go Blade. He just goes Blade, and that's it. So yes. Now, I already showed off LupinKaiser Knight here 3.5 years ago, actually almost 4 years ago at this point, so I don't really need to go over it again. You can watch the original video linked in the description below, which actually, to be fair, was the exact same video where I was exposed to LupinKaiser for the first time, period, because I bought both of them at the same time. Anyways, yeah, so the reason why I'm bringing this up, and there's a really stunted sword right there, real tiny sword, and a shield which thankfully has a strong enough friction, oops, wrong joint, has a strong enough friction in the elbow that you actually can, that even though it only ratchets every 90 degrees, just as a quick summary, yes, you can get that shield to pose in a couple of different positions, strictly because of the friction that's in that joint. Anyways, that's not the reason why I'm bringing this up. Yes, I want to acknowledge that I still have it. Yes, I want to acknowledge I'm still capable of doing that. But that's not why I'm bringing it up in this particular video. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I want to get Cyclone involved. I've only had this for 48 hours, by the way, so... There is, as promised, LupinKaiser Cyclone Knight. This right here is why I got the Cyclone Dial Fighter. This right here. Because I wanted to make this redonkulous thing, and as I've stated out, or pointed out a number of times now, when I was watching it in the heat of the moment, I'm like, okay, you know what, the hurricane thing is, or the tornado thing, yeah, okay, whatever, that's kind of nice. Can we call it a dust devil or a dirt devil or some kind, I suppose? But when I saw Cyclone Knight being used, no, it's LupinKaiser Cyclone Knight. Get your head straight, Ava. When I saw Cyclone Knight being used in the show specifically, then I was like, okay, all right, you got me. Okay, fine. Now I'll get the Cyclone Dial Fighter. I don't like it by itself, and I made a whole video about that, but like when it's combined like this, and to be fair, the color combination of red, silver, black, and neon green, I'm like, okay, I can live with that. But I think the Scissors and Blade Dial Fighter is good enough that it kind of compensates for how kind of outlandish and ultimately kind of sort of unnecessary the Cyclone Dial Fighter is. Again, just because you've got the Yellow Dial Fighter already doing everything that this could have done. I'll shut up about that now. I like that name, by the way, Cyclone Knight. That sounds like something you might find in a video game or something. But wait, there's more! So believe it or not, the reason why I'm making this video even to begin with was not necessarily because of the Scissors and Blade Dial Fighters, although the important part of bringing this up is to say, A, I still have it, and B, it this is what it sounds like when you plug it into the Versus changer. Okay, that's why this is being mentioned in this video. Okay, but that's not the reason why I'm making this video. I mean, I could have done that. In fact, I did do that with the Versus changer. I went over the Versus changer and I had my initial reaction and all that stuff, and then I edited it for time because the bloody thing was an hour. Actually, it was an hour. It was almost 2 hours long before I chopped it down significantly to an hour and a half. Oh wow. Anyways, no, the main reason why I'm making this video is because I've got the trigger machine counterpart to the scissors and blade dial fighter, and that is the crane and drill trigger machine, or trigger machine crane and drill if you must. I got this one secondhand, and it did not come with the box, so I actually got this one first. And this is another Versus vehicle that didn't necessarily hate it, just didn't want it. Just, it's okay. The color scheme is okay, I guess. It's fine. It's not a huge offender. I'm not really irritated with it. There's nothing particularly wrong. I mean, having a crane is just fine. But it's kind of sort of the gimmicks, or at least how the gimmicks are treated. That's where I kind of have my bugaboos with this and why I didn't get it back in 2018. So the first is that you can unhook this and then you can pull that out, and that, ladies and gentlemen, is as far as the crane extends. Color me disappointed. That's it. That might even be less than the length. Let's see, what was the length of the um, what was the length? What was the length of the trigger machine biker? The string on it was 2 centimeters and 3/4 of an inch, if I remember correctly. So this extends a grand total of 1.4 centimeters, and let's see, that's 8. God, I hate the standard measurement system. Why can't the United States just go to metric? For fuck's sake. Yeah, it's just over half an inch. Okay, so that would be 9/16. Can I compress it 9/16 down? No, I can't, because 3 doesn't go into. Yeah, so it's 9/16, and what did I say the other one was? Yeah, 1.5 centimeters. So they actually managed to knock a half centimeter off of a crane. And here's the weird thing about it. You would think, now for the record, I have what are you called? Go-Go Crane from 2006's Bokinger line. I have that, and it can extend like 3 times the length of what this little piece of shit is. And the hook also moves on it as well. And it also has a string that you can roll up and you can roll down. And it can also do this. So look how long this is, folks, and look how much that extends. Really, I mean, I just, when I extended this the first, like, one of the reasons why I didn't get the crane is because I knew this was a problem. Once I actually got it in my hands, there's just this tendency. It's like, okay, it's not coming out far enough. Oh shit. That's not happened to me before. I didn't know it could do that. I've had this thing for a month and a half, and I've actually had it deliberately covered up so I don't examine it in detail. I I I didn't know it could do that. That's the. Oh, that's probably so when it gets turned into the repaint later on, the splash trigger machine. That's probably so they can replace this thing with the ladder extension in the hose. That's what that's for. Okay. Huh. So you're not supposed to be able to do this. Okay, anyways, yeah, I mean, I would not have done that rant just now if I'd known it was going to do that. Anyways, yeah, your tendency is to like pull on the thing to make it longer, and then it does this instead. Which, by the way, it doesn't do this in the show because safety reasons. But yeah, I mean, it's not even an inch. It's just over half an inch. It's 1/16 over half an inch. That's pathetic. You want to pull on it because it's like, oh, it's stuck or it's not manufactured correctly, or you want to open the thing up and no, that's it. And you can see on the underside here, that's all the space that's allowed for it. That's it. That's literally all that the mobile crane gives you. That right there is one of the reasons why I didn't get this thing. Also because it doesn't have a string built into it, and also because when you actually try to pull the trigger on it, it just goes, ugh, and that's it. Here, watch it again. Ugh. It even comes with its own sound effect. Aww. See? So, yeah. I should also point out that the Go-Go crane also had a pair of outriggers that folded out to either side, which did no difference. Which made no difference, and the base of the crane could turn side to side. That was actually part of the transformation. It could turn side to side. Now I can understand there are some cranes, some mobile cranes out there that are about this size IRL. You know what I mean? Where they don't have a rotating base or something like that, but they do have outriggers, and this is just so lazy. Now I get whatever. It falls back this far. I'm not going to cry about that, but still, um, that and that. Really, I'm supposed to pay $15 for that? Please. Ugh. It's a good thing it comes with its own little accessory vehicle. So here we have the trigger machine drill. And to be fair, it definitely has a drill attached to it, and it does have a little cockpit attached to it. Pethra and Ichigo even used it, so yeah, legit. That's a legitimate cockpit. That just goes to show, by the way, that both the larger versus vehicles and the smaller ones have cockpits of their own. They're not just summoned and AI controlled or whatever it is, although they do tend to do that. But just know that, yeah, there is an actual cockpit inside of there that they use. So anyways, yes, here is the drill. And I'll be honest, the paint applications on this are pretty solid. Not gonna lie, that's pretty good. The detailing on the treads and the drill bit itself, or the drill head itself, could be. I know it's fuzzy. I'm sorry. It could be. It's just bands that go around it as opposed to an actual corkscrew pattern, which is kind of disappointing. Hey, did you know that back in 2006 the Go-Go drill had a spinning drill bit that actually had a corkscrew pattern on it? But here it is, all these years later, and it doesn't have one of those things. So, does this? No, it does not. Anyways, yeah, there's a nice, cute little. Just because it's a versus vehicle, you want to make certain it has a little bit of orange on it, so you get the hash pattern right there. And the reason they have it over there is because, well, it's completely missing on the other side because you need room. You need room for that to be able to extend and retract. And again, just like with the blade dial fighter, the trigger machine drill does not have enough space on the inside to be able to pull the trigger and then have the drill extend automatically. So, manually extending it, again, I'm not going to cry about that particular type of spilled milk, so I'm just going to leave it alone. It's just a cute little thing. It's a wheelchair with tractor treads on it. Actually, it does have its own little set of wheels on it. Yay, this exists, and yeah, it rolls. Fine, whatever. And what ends up happening is the crane ends up with this huge void. So you can see the interior is just a ribbed pattern, and that's it. I should also point out you cannot put the drill in without retracting the drill first. Then it will fit inside. There you go. Now, there's one other feature that the Scissors and Blade Dial Fighter does not have that Crane and Drill does. That just reminded me that, what's it called? Daiboken Drill and Crane was an official combination that appeared in the show. Get it? Drill and Crane. Do you see what I did there? I guess it means the combined form with PatKaiser. It's going to be called PatKaiser Crane and Drill. Woohoo! One could be so lucky. Anyways, here comes the other disappointing part of this whole thing, and that is, I want to say there was another super. It was what was Go Busters. Go Busters, the Buster Hercules, which I still have to this day. It had a feature where you could take the flying vehicle, which I can't think of the name of, and you could stick it on top of the crane half, and then they could ride around together or something like that. Well, following those same footsteps, which you could not do with the Go-Go vehicles, I should point out, technically, there are some raised surfaces on the top of the crane head. Is this what this is called? I don't know. And technically, you can stick I almost said Go-Go Drill, which is totally wrong. Technically, you can stick, um, what's this thing called? Trigger machine drill on the top. Unfortunately, it does not tab or lock or stick into place. It is held there strictly by not even friction. It's held there only by gravity, which means if you turn it, it's going to fall off first chance it gets, and it is not particularly sturdy. Now it lines up, and yeah, there are some tabs there to make sure that it kind of, sort of, but keep in mind, folks, this is part of its special attack feature. This is what makes it so dangerous on the battlefield. Is you actually take this and you attach it to PatKaiser, and this is part of its finishing attack. This right here, or at least it is when Crane and Drill are by themselves. So like, yeah, it's supposed to do this. It's designed to do this, but why? Why does this? Why did they do that? Just have it tab into place, or just have it. I'm sorry, have it snap into place, and it doesn't. I've got it on there solid as is, and look, it's just, yeah. So, just, uh, so disappointing. Like, I approve of it. I mean, I'm not even going to complain about, well, it should have been up like this, or it should have been, attached underneath like this, so it could, put a drill on the front and it could drill itself underground or something like that. I'm not even going to complain about that. If it had done that, yeah, sure, I'd have had no problem. You could have had the hook like fold away and then attach the drill underneath, but no. What I'm complaining about is not that it can do this, but the fact that it doesn't hold on to it in the slightest. That's where I'm disappointed. It's like, you had the idea, you just didn't follow through. That's the problem with it. They didn't follow through, and now it's just ruined. It couldn't even have been. Actually, I think it actually. I got to remember back a couple of months now. I think it sits back here, and then, oops, and then this raises up, and then it shoots off. I think that's what it's supposed to do. So really, you're not doing yourself any favors by having it fail up here, but then portraying it in the show as, well, it starts back here and then it races off. And then you don't do that with the toy. So there's a couple of different disappointments here. By themselves, they're not horrible. But this is bad. They didn't include that, and okay, that happens for safety's sake. I'm going to leave that alone. So, yeah, you can understand why I didn't get this back in. Shouldn't I be saying this for a conclusion? Yeah, I should. Oh, yeah, sure, Ava. This video is going to be shorter because you don't have to go into explicit detail about the Scissors and Blade Fighter like you did with the Cyclone and the Biker, but you did have to with this thing. Shut up, Ava. What the hell was that? What was that? No, 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 no. No, no, no. What was that? Meet me. Meet me. It's like a hydraulic arm or something like that. I think that, like, they're trying to make the sound of the. All right. Sounds like a sheep. I think it's supposed to be a hydraulic ram. It's supposed to be the hydraulic pistons of the things like. I think that's what it's supposed to be, and it came out completely wrong. It sounds like a sheep. It sounds like a sheep or a goat in a barn. That's what it sounds like. I don't know like the quality of it going through here, but that's what it sounds like to me. It's also fucking loud, I should point out. Anyways, yeah, that's that. Okay. What other sound could you make with it? Like I would I mean I almost want it to be like or something like that or I wanted something, maybe not a but still I wanted. I mean, okay, whatever. What does this do, by the way? I genuinely don't remember what this does. Let's see. Because the scissors and blade dial fighter turn into weapons, but I can't remember what the crane and drill do. Aren't they just kind of like larger versions or something like that? Let's see. Trigger machine, crane, and drill. What do they become? Oh my god. What do they turn into? They turn into a giant bazooka? You must be joking. I honestly don't remember this part. In a Keisatsu boost, crane replaces the right arm of the user with drill docked inside. Okay, whatever. Giving the user the ability of PatKaiser Strong. Oh, I'm glad I reminded myself. It's not called crane and drill. It's called Strong. Strong? Whatever. Joe can also be detached into attack mode and can also hang onto the hook of the crane for the Strong Eradication Breaker whip attack, where the cable is whipped around wildly while Drill acts as a flail weight, smashing into ganglers. This attack is strong enough to obliterate a platoon of portermen. I legitimately forgot that it could do that. So yeah, I was right about the drill attaching to the end and then having it whip around all over the place. Yeah, I was right about that. I just completely forgot that. I mean, look at Patranger Ichigo. Look at that. And then you got Patranger Sango, and then what the hell? Ryu Soul Pink armed with trigger machine, crane, and drill trigger machine. Huh? When did that happen? What? When did you ever? Kishiryu Sentai Ryu Soldier versus Lupinranger versus Patranger. Oh, it's from the crossover movie, which I haven't seen. Oh, okay, all right. The attack mode is when it's raised up. Really? Screw you. Okay, all right. So yeah, I completely forgot about the bazooka thing. That. How many episodes is that in? Sporadically. I genuinely don't remember that. Of course, I actually took a break about the halfway point in LuPat, so I to be fair, I might have forgotten about it, but holy shit, I forgot about it. Oh my god. That's not getting old. That's not getting old. Okay, we still need to launch this thing, right? Right. Fucking sheep. That's not how you do that sound effect. That's not how you do it at all. Man, oh man. Okay. Enough with the nonsense. Hopefully, Drill has a better sound effect built into it. I'm just saying. Ah! Oh, right. Wrong button. Okay. That's better. Drilling sound. Okay. Yeah, that's acceptable. That's okay. That works. That's okay. Also notice, for the first time, this is a trigger machine that actually doesn't get anywhere near the trigger. See? Sees the trigger way up here. So I suppose really you're supposed to grab it like this? Is that how you're supposed to do it? Not really, necessarily, no. Much like the blade dial fighter, the trigger machine drill also does not directly interact with the versus changer insofar as like the gimmick of like actually pulling the trigger or turning the dial, okay? So wait, then how does this classify as a trigger machine? Well, because technically it is a trigger machine. It actually does have a trigger on it. In case you weren't paying attention earlier, see that little highlight of yellow right there? Actually, it's kind of a neon yellow. That is technically a trigger for the trigger machine. However, again, just like the blade dial fighter, this particular trigger does not have a mechanism. So, unlike all other trigger machines to date, if you squeeze on this trigger, well, actually you can't. It's fixed in place. It doesn't move at all. And there's no associated little tab that comes out the back, which pushes on the tab right there, or pushes on the trigger right there. So even though this is technically classified as a trigger machine, it doesn't actually interact with the versus changer. Whatever. And now then for the summon! That's loud. I kind of wish the webcam here had a microphone in it, so I could like hold it up like this, play the sound like that, but then it would block the view. So like I gotta hold it up like this and look like I'm kissing it. So yeah. Anyways, that's the sound. Yeah, the drill, trigger machine drill, very much gets lost up there. Although it can an argument be made that this turns it into a bayonet? I don't know. That's not even a pocket knife right there. That's a thumbtack, I guess. Oh, it might be a roof tack. Yeah, that'd be big enough to be a roof tack IRL. So, yeah, whatever. I wish that the trigger machine drill would slide all the way back. So, but I can understand like if they're not going to put the mechanism in here, that's big enough to be able to, actually squeeze the trigger and have the little tab come out. Then it's kind of understandable why they did it this particular way. Like, yeah, okay, I can kind of understand that. So it's like if it were any bigger, it would probably compromise this even more than it already did. So, yeah. All right, I launched this thing. I was just reaching for PatKaiser here, and I realized the duality of the way that PatKaiser versus LupinKaiser works. The Cyclone dial fighter, oh, by the way, PatKaiser Stronger. Like, for example, for LupinKaiser Cyclone, you replace the left arm, and then the right arm stays intact, as opposed to PatKaiser Biker, where you replace the right arm and the left arm stays intact. Well, this time, with LupinKaiser Knight, you replace the left arm and then it gets a weapon in the right weapon accessory in the right arm, as opposed to PatKaiser Stronger, where specifically, and oh by the way, this I forgot to mention this is loose, so be careful when you open that up. As opposed to PatKaiser Stronger, where it replaces the entire right arm and then the accessory, which has a little tab that you fold out there, gets attached into the left hand. You notice that duality about them? And so this, oops, I guess I need to extend. Do I need to extend this? It does it in the, but yeah, okay. Oh, okay, that's why they were lazy about it. Okay, so this is PatKaiser Stronger, or PatKaiser Strong. Stronger or strong? I think it's just strong. It's just strong. Yeah, Sutorangu. Yeah, strong. So PatKaiser Strong. Okay, so I just now realized, oh, that's why this only extends so far. It's because they literally did not want the thing to have like an extra long arm hanging all the way down here like this, even though Daiboken Crane did that very thing. Let's see, 2018 to 2006 would have been what? 12 years ago. Okay, yeah, so this came out 12 years after Daiboken's Crane came out. And you're really telling me that I'm so tempted to pull out to pull out my Daiboken Crane. Um, Although I might attach it. Yeah, it goes on the left arm. Anyways, that toy, the crane could extend much farther than it does on this one. But I guess the justification is like it can only extend just over half an inch, so that they could have a justification for maintaining the proportions of the figure. The hook only sticks that far down, and that's it. Because look where, get this out of here. Look where the hands are, okay? And then the hook, it just also slightly sticks out. Ugh. So that's why it's so short. It didn't even occur to me to chew on that before this video, but now that I have, now I'm depressed about it. And somehow or other, drill just ends up as a thing. What kind of weapon is this? Is this a dagger? The Japanese kind of have a lot more respect for daggers than we do. They like have a seriously. There's like a cultural reason why they respect them a lot more. That being said, uh, what is that supposed to be? What is that a is that an ice pick? Is that what that's supposed to be? If it's supposed to be a sword or a short sword or what's the let's see there's the katana, what's the other one, the wakizaki, zashi, zagi, the shorter of the two samurai swords. Is that what that's supposed to be? If it is, it's a very bizarre way of portraying a sword. I'm just saying, and there are probably other ways you could do it, like maybe a stealth fighter, per maybe perhaps. And also, in terms of being a police vehicle, or a police themed mecha, what is I honestly don't even. I just bleh. So yeah, and then you end up with PatKaiser Strong. I want to say Crane so badly, but I suppose saying LupinKaiser Knight versus PatKaiser Strong, I suppose that makes sense to some degree. Whatever. In any event, the problem with PatKaiser Strong, it's not just that its trigger machine feature is this, and how many times have I already pointed out I want to extend this a lot more than it is, but it's the fact that it has this massive hole in it, which, that's kind of an issue. So, like, you can pull the trigger, but much like with Biker and this, the deeply weird tilting backside or whatever it is that I already addressed multiple times, this doesn't really help matters. If this could extend farther, you wouldn't have heard anything from me. But because it's a trigger machine specifically, and you could do that, well, what the hell is this supposed to be? Anybody? Now, officially and technically, the instructions say you're supposed to have it separated like this. No, that's going to stay down like that at all times. So, yeah. PatKaiser Strong. 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 This video is going to be so unnecessarily long. I can't believe this is happening. I suppose that's what happens when I get figures that I don't like. I just have to kind of rant and mumble my way through them to justify their existences. Like, why did I get it? Well, because of this and this and that and that. Anyways, speaking of justifiable existences, right. Oh god, please don't tell me this is called Strong Biker. Please don't. I don't think I could lift myself if you did that. Anyways, much like with LupinKaiser Cyclone Knight, PatKaiser also has the ability to mount both at the same time. With PatKaiser, the biker is always on the right side. But when you're using Crane alone, just for PatKaiser Stronger, then it's on the right arm. But in this particular case, what's this called? Oh, please tell me it's Strong Biker. It is. It's called Strong Biker. Thank you, Bandai. Okay, it's called Strong Biker. Strong Biker. That's what we're dealing with here today. Strong Biker. I'm kind of glad they didn't call it Biker Strong because that's just awkward in English. You know, just don't mess with it. Just call it Strong Biker. Yes, thank you. Now, to be fair, this is actually kind of the thing that I kind of bitched and moaned about a couple of days ago when I was going over Trigger Machine Biker. Is that wouldn't it be nice to have a scenario where you had Trigger Machine Sango with its extendable blade, and then you also had the yo-yo going at the same time? Wouldn't it be nice if they did that? Because would have had two extending features at the same time. Well, this is the reason why they don't do that. You've got the yo-yo on one side with the deeply weird extra joint right here that serves absolutely no purpose whatsoever, and then you've got this thing that just goes out just over half an inch, and then, oh, by the way, you can lift that out and be careful because that thing can fall out. It's like for every good idea that they have, they kind of like deliberately sabotage themselves into something else that just kind of ruins the overall effect. So, and to be fair, by the way, notice that, and I pointed this out in the previous video, that there seemed to be some sort of a color coordination swapping of some kind. Well, here it is right here. You've got red in the center because Red Ranger always. But then, for the Patranger specifically, we've gotten rid of the peculiar Pink Ranger and the kind of sort of forest green. Why am I saying forest green? We've gotten rid of the Green Ranger on the other side, which means PatKaiser now has the colors of the Lupinranger: red, blue, yellow. That actually does have meaning at times. It's kind of curious the way they the shade of yellow actually is different enough. Like I said, this is kind of a macaroni and cheese yellow. Oh, I just want to eat you up. As opposed to this, which is kind of a lemony fresh scent, whatever you want to call this thing. It's not neon. It's not neon green. Nowhere near to the same degree that this is neon green. So yeah, it's not a neon yellow. Did I say neon green? I'm sorry. I meant to say neon yellow. So whatever. Yeah. But yeah, they did a color swap palette for some reason or other. I don't know. They could have gone with purple. They could have gone with green. You know, green cranes. You know, whatever. They could have gone with brown. I suppose because like it would have been black and white, and then they have to have a unique color. So they could have made it brown, or they could have made it green, or they could have made it purple. Or they could have made it anything. Oh god, I just thought of that. They could have made this purple to coincide with Go Go Drill from 12 years earlier. They could have done that, and then it would have kind of balanced that out or whatever it is. And again, it would have given the Lupinranger versus Pat Ranger. Or, I'm sorry, it would have given the versus vehicles some purple. Why not? PatKaiser Strong Biker. Oh man. English FTW. So I just finished filming the entire unboxing, and I was looking for a reference photo for PatKaiser Strong Biker, and I realized to my horror that I actually had Biker and Crane on the wrong sides. So it's supposed to be Biker on the left and Crane on the right. I'm sorry. I'm supposed to know these things, and what can I say? It's been 4 years since the show came out, so please forgive me. So here it is for the second time now, this peculiar duality within LuPat. Peculiarity of, not necessarily air vehicle versus ground vehicle, though that distinction's already been made. In fact, they deliberately made that joke when they debuted Cyclone and Biker. But more what's interesting to me is that these are kind of things that I would associate with thieves insofar as like the trigger feature or wow, that was a heretical thing for me to say. The Dial Fighter feature of scissors. Yeah, thieves cutting through cloth or cutting through lines or whatever it is. Yeah, yeah, okay, that kind of makes sense. And the fact that these are stealth fighters or they're stealth vehicles, you want to sneak around, and I suppose you have a short sword of some kind to protect yourself with, along with a shield to protect yourself. These are not particularly offensive weapons. They're more defensive weapons that we're dealing with here. They're more um, clever uses or whatever it is. And even the name of the thing, LupinKaiser Knight. Notice that the word knight is spelled with a K. It's not night as in nighttime, it's knight as in like knight in shining armor. That's what the reference to this is. But then we come to this, and I have to question, what does a crane and a drill have to do with police? Because these are construction vehicles. Well, yeah, these are construction vehicles. A crane for recovery after the fact. I mean, yeah, there are plenty of mobile cranes that are out there that have flashing beacon lights or whatever. I'm totally blanking on what these are called. Strobe lights that have warning strobe lights like on the front and on the back. Oh, by the way, this one does, except that they didn't paint them on the top of the cab. These little humps right there and there. It has little tabs right there, but they just for whatever reason chose to not paint them in. Whatever. So there are, road-based cranes that have strobe lights on them, and that's all well and good. But what do cranes have to do with police work? I'm not saying this is a bad toy. I'm just wondering, what does a crane have to do with it? Maybe it was a case of like they're kind of struggling because like Lupinranger versus Patranger was going to be nothing but air vehicles, and they had to throw in a bunch of ground vehicles. So like maybe this is a case of they didn't know where to go next. Because like a police officer on a motorcycle, okay, that makes sense. But a crane and a drill. These are construction vehicles. These are construction vehicles. What does that have to do with police work? Not a whole lot. So while crane and drill don't make a whole lot of sense and actually kind of clash with the thematics of the Patranger, in stark contrast, the scissors and blade dial fighters fit perfectly with the theme of thieves or people who are trying to sneak around or whatever it is. This makes a lot of sense. This doesn't make quite as much sense. But it's more the thematics, themes that bother me about this. It doesn't work. And on top of which, how much time have I already taken spending? For a trigger machine, I kind of almost expected that we squeeze the trigger and then this sticks out. That this would have been spring loaded and it would pop out like that. That's kind of what I was expecting it to do, and it doesn't. It's just that. And then, if you want to, what sucks is like it can't even hang on to the crane, or it can't even hang on to the drill, and the drill. Honestly, I'm not gonna cry about this. I'm not gonna be mad. Don't get me wrong, it makes for a very weird melee weapon. That and how it's used in the show with the huge bazooka cannon thingy that I totally can't remember the name of. Yeah, that's a bit of an issue. But that being said, I'll be honest. The only reason I got this here's where I'm kind of tying everything together. The reason why I got biker is so I could tie it together with crane and drill. Because this right here, in the show, the way it works, you're lifting things up and swinging them around, and then you beat the snot out of them with a whip like yo-yo. Like I honestly can't complain about that. That just works for me. Okay. I saw that and I'm like, you know what? I wasn't planning on getting either one of these. But when I kind of realized, oh yeah, okay, this is okay. It's not offensive. I don't hate it. I purchased the crane first, and then I got it first, and then after, like days, like I think it was like 2 weeks later, then I purchased the biker, and then I got biker. So really, it was I got this first, then I got this, and the reason I did it in that order is because I bought this. Okay, I like this. Now the completionist side of me says, why don't you just complete the arrangement of PatKaiser Strong Biker, what a name, and just get Strong Biker. Go ahead and get the biker, okay? So you want to know why it is I got this thing. I got this because I got this, and the reason I got this is because this combination on screen works for me. I don't like this much, and I still can't understand that thing. And this thing is just, I don't know. It looks kind of nice to have both arms, both features kind of splayed out like that. That works. That works for me. I can live with that. But individually, they don't offer a lot, and just if you attach them by themselves, these two specifically. Cyclone is a different thing. Remember, Scissors Blade is the only one that I really, really wanted to get, and I got this 4 years ago. Okay, these two is a little more of the completionist side of me, thinking like as I'm watching the show, okay, now I like them. I know they've got problems, but okay, I can live with it. So there you go. I really, really like this, and this is again much like Biker and Cyclone. Crane and Drill are not hugely offensive. I can live with maybe half of what it does, something like that. So okay. And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you very much for tuning in.